What's up, everyone? Welcome to cracka. Yay! Um, got a small review to go over. Very small. A couple things to show, and some very interesting stories that was being told that I must share with everyone. I figured, what the hell? I guess I'll share my misery. Yeah, my friends found it rather funny, and my fiance is still laughing about the things that have happened recently. Um, So yeah, I'll share those stories in a moment. First, let's do a small review. I got a chance to read Venom number 31, which was actually really cool. It was like I like these kind of stories. They're the ones that really don't go anywhere. They're just kind of like a random, not random story, but just like a fun kind of story, I guess. And it was cool. Like Venom moves to Philadelphia, and he wants to keep excuse me, a low profile. So he obviously when he's saving people, whatever, he doesn't want people to know that he's there, because he's like, people aren't stupid. They'll put two and two together that Flash Thompson moves to Florida, Philadelphia, and then suddenly Venom shows up in Philadelphia. So he he changes his costume into like a when he was going to have like this street gang. He makes it look like a cloak, and he's got all the chains and stuff like flying around instead of the tendrils, and he calls himself Hail Mary. And he scares everybody away, and then when they all take off, he turns back to Venom. He's laughing his ass off. He's like, "This is funny." And they had another part where he first saves somebody from almost getting stabbed, and he grabs the guy, and he's like, if you don't turn yourself in, he's like, "I'm going to eat your brain. I'm going to crush your skull." And he's like, it means num 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 num. Like the guy gets so scared, he takes off, turns himself in. But it was a cool thing, and at the end, spoiler alert, Eddie Brock shows back up, so I guess he's not dead. So, pretty cool. And I like the cover. The cover's actually pretty interesting. Moving on. Dark Avengers number 186. I had ordered the one before it, which I haven't gotten yet. It's supposed to show up sometime today, I hope, from Midtown. And this is one of the perfect examples of when you're away from a series for a long time, and then you just kind of get into it, and you're like, this is the one where you're like, what the hell is going on? I still don't know who the hell the multi-armed black costume Spider-Man is. So anyway, the real reason I got this is because the U.S. agent is back, and the previous issue has him on the cover. So that's the real reason, because I'm a U.S. agent fan. I think he's cool. But yeah, apparently they're on like another universe, and they're getting their ass kicked, and then this what the hell is her name? Moonstone, or I think she's called Moondragon. One of those. She puts the U.S. agent back together. Apparently, he got his arms and legs ripped off by Nuke a while ago. Weird. Anyway, moving on to Batman Detective Comics number 17, The Merrymaker. This is like these people apparently worship the Joker, and this guy, who later you find out, which I already knew when I was reading, you kind of figured it out, is a psychiatrist who did a lot of work on the Joker, like psychiatric work kind of thing, and he leaves Arkham and has his own practice, and takes in people that are not associated with the Joker but have a fascination for him, and kind of turns them into his henchmen, and it was interesting book. Obviously, Batman finds out who it is and turns his henchmen against him. Legends of the Dark Knight number 5. This is the first time it's one solo story. Usually they're like a whole bunch of different Batman stories. But this guy right here apparently used to be a cop. Now he's a private investigator. And he witnesses a murder, and he gets set up for it. And Batman thinks he's the one who did it. And he has to prove himself, that he's innocent. And that's pretty much the entire story. But it wasn't too bad. Moving on. That was the last of the reviews, so I know everyone's like, yeah, he's done. I am waiting. My friend claims that he shipped out the Amazing Spider-Man comics that I mentioned in a previous video, a lot of the old Volume 2 earlier issues. So that's pretty cool. So hopefully I might be getting that today, and a shipment from Midtown, I'm hoping. It's pretty much, I think, might be my last shipment from Midtown, I'm not really sure. Either way. show off a couple things that people were asking me about. Is toys, action figures, stuff like that. I did do a video a while ago which I showed some of my Marvel stuff like that. But I never did my DC versions, I believe, which I'm going to get to, I guess, in another video. But a couple ones I wanted to show. I got a custom-made Speedy. It's pretty cool. He's got a little red bow. I didn't do it. I'm not that creative, I guess. And a custom-made Golden Age Green Arrow, I believe. He's got his little, can't see too well, but his green bow. And that's that. Yay. I have plenty more of those, but show them another episode. Now for the stories, the fun stories. Good God. The snowplow story. That's a good one. That my fiance is still laughing at. When we got our, I guess they would call it major snow. My landlords had told us to park our car in their driveway so that the plows could, I guess, do the street and we don't get plowed in and all this crap. My fiance parked the car in the driveway. It snowed, whatever it is. Then the next day, well, towards the next day, like 7 o'clock in the morning, she backed it out because my landlords had to get out of their driveway anyway. So she backs it into on the side street, in front of the house, and she's like, "Oh, can you help me and dig? We'll dig out the side here, and so I can, so she makes a space so she can back into the curb rather than be out in the middle of the street." So I'm like, yeah, no problem. And then our neighbor has a snowblower, which is powerful as hell. I mean, it's crazy. I've never seen anything like shoot snow like 50 feet in the air. So he was like, "Oh, I'm going to do your the landlord's driveway and the walkway, and so don't worry about shoveling and stuff. I'll do it for you." So I'm like, "Oh, appreciate it." So I'm digging the one side of the car. So here's the car. I'm on the side closest to the sidewalk. The street itself wasn't plowed at all. Like they left it, so it was snow. Now the messed up part is I'm sitting here with my shovel and I'm digging, not really caring. I gotta get it done, so I'm digging, and the guy with the snowblower is coming around. He's doing the driveway first. As I'm digging, the snowplow, it's like 7:30 in the morning, comes around and just nails, just like all the snow. I don't know what the hell he must have been doing. It looked like he was doing like 50 down the road. At the same moment that he does the snow, the guy next to me with the snowblower comes across on the sidewalk. So now the snow comes up over the car from the snowplow and nails me just at the same time as the snowblower comes and shoots the snow the opposite side. I was buried between our car. There was snow. It was all on top of me. All you saw was like the top of the shovel sticking out, and my fiance, I hear her laughing through the snow, just hysterically laughing that I was buried in a snow wall, basically. And I'm like, so I'm like trying to get out of this thing, which wasn't, it wasn't like I was, 50 feet under the ground. But literally, I was buried. It was over the top of my head. That's how much crap, because the snow, he was shooting this way, went over, and then I was like, oh my God. And then, as I go to get out, snowplow turns around, comes back, the same thing, to throw even more snow up against the car and over the thing. I was like, oh my God. Ay. And now, actually, the one thing I forgot to mention, I was actually bending down at the time when all the snow, whatever, so it's not like I was standing straight up and, because that would... So I was like that, and whoosh, buried. And it's a bitch, when you have, granted, it wasn't that much snow. It's not like, I couldn't get out. But when you're, like, bent over and there's, like, a pound of snow land on you, all of a sudden you're like, what the hell just happened? So she's still laughing at that. And, interesting thing. I had decided, another story, to go to, a comic book store yesterday. I figured, what the hell? Break down. Went looking for, just a couple of back issues of Spider-Man I'm trying to find. I figured, what the hell. I get in there and I walk into a war. It's just interesting as hell. They actually, I've never seen this before. I've never seen, usually comic book people, when they're in the store, sometimes they get heated. Sometimes there's, a lot of words thrown around, but nothing like a battle royal kind of thing. And I walk in, and my friend's like, you know, you're gonna be a couple minutes. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, all right, I'm gonna go to the store. And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm just looking for Spider-Man stuff, and I should be done. And you know, she knows how I am. If I'm walking to a comic store, yeah, I'll be done in 5 minutes. It's usually like an hour because I'll be walking around. But I walk in, and I hear this just screaming like, you know, you're a bastard. You don't know anything. You know, how stupid are you? I'm like, what the hell? Try to ignore it. I'm like, not my business. And this group were arguing over who should make guest appearances on Arrow. And the guy's like, he's like, I'd like to see Firestorm show up. And I'm like, Firestorm? Like, I'm just trying to, like, I'm listening, but I'm avoiding it. And then when I get to the back issue section, there's another freaking fight going on about The Walking Dead and, you know, how much money the number one is going for. And this guy's like, oh, I have, you know, 10 copies of it, and I'd never sell them. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, if you have 10 copies of the first Walking Dead, you know, why wouldn't you sell a couple of them if they're worth as much as I've seen them go for? I mean, I saw a 9.8 go for like $3,000 on eBay. It's like, oh my god. So I'm like, nope, don't want to know. And of course, they're starting their argument, their fight, right in the Spidey section. Right where I have to be. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So the owner and the workers are just kind of, they're letting it go because it's not really getting too out of hand, I guess. And I walk over to the Spider-Man thing. I was like, you know, it's the only thing I wanted to freaking look for. And I was like, of course, jackasses have to start they're not even looking at the comics. They're just arguing over stupid shit. You know, the Walking Dead comics, the Walking Dead show, you know, how this person died, how this person's supposed to be alive, and, you know. So I'm like, you know what, the hell with it. I'm going to go walk up and be like, you know, excuse me, can I just take a look at, you know. So I walk up to this guy. He's kind of big. He kind of actually looked like the comic book guy from The Simpsons. And, worst episode ever. And I walk up to him, and he's, you know, yammering. I'm kind of waiting for the right point to be like, excuse me, because I don't want to interrupt somebody's conversation if we get into a fight. And, I walk up to him, and I'm waiting. This guy's it's just going nowhere. The conversation's like, oh, The Walking Dead, you know, Glenn shouldn't be dead. You know, not Glenn, Dale. Dale shouldn't have died. You know, he's a great character, which I agree. I like Dale. I thought he was cool. Then, like, you know, they never should have had Norman Reedus in there. You know, blah, 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 whole big thing. So I just said, screw it. I was like, excuse me. I was like, do you mind if I just take a look at the Spider-Man? And he just, like, almost like a zombie, just, like, turned like, ugh. Like, you know, how dare you? And he's like, what? And I was like, I just wanted to take a look at the Spider-Man back issues. I'm looking for. He's like, oh, excuse me. He's like, God forbid I'm in somebody's way. I was like, oh, man. It took all my energy not to knock him out. I'm just like, you know what? It's not worth it. You know, he's just a dick. So I was like, you know, whatever. So he moves to the side, and then, of course, he's got to be a dick the entire time. I'm looking through the Amazing Spider-Man. I'm trying to find a couple of the 300 issues that I'm missing. And he's like, oh, did you find what you're looking for? He's like, God forbid. He's like, I don't want to be in your way, buddy. I'm like, holy shit. And I'm sitting there just grinding my teeth because I'm looking at him. I was like, I know I can drop this guy like one shot if I really wanted to. I'm like, but then I'd get kicked out. And I was like, I don't want to have that and all this stuff and blood on my hands and, you know. Anyway, so I'm ignoring him. Not even paying any attention. I'm just like, what number was I looking for? I'm like, oh, yeah. Now, the funny thing is, in the front of the store, that other fight's still going on about Arrow. So the fat comic book guy, he turns around with his friend, and they walk away, finally, after like 10, 15 minutes of trying to bust my balls. And he realized he's not getting anywhere. And I feel like saying, like, dude, do you really think you can take me? Like, that's what I was kind of... You honestly think, all right, granted I'm a comic store, but you don't think I can't kick some ass? But, anyway, they finally walk away, and the original group in the front of the store starts getting a fight with the two people that were having the fight with about Walking Dead. The comic book store owner turns around, he's like, guys, he's like, come on, can you keep it down? You're kind of disturbing everybody now. At this time, there was like probably maybe 30 people in the store, which is a lot, because there's usually never that many people in the store, especially on a Tuesday. And, what the hell was it? So I'm sitting there, and I'm like, you know, I was like, I blocked them all out. I'm like, thank God, you know. And of course, it didn't have any of the Spider-Mans I was looking for, so I'm like, all right, you know, what can you do? I turned around to walk out because I wasn't going to mess around. I wasn't going to look around at anything else because I didn't want to deal with any of their crap. And I didn't want to spend money other than the Spider-Man comics. got my one-track set mind. So I got to walk out, and all of a sudden, I don't know what happened, but the one guy that was talking about the Arrow uh, episode turns around and he goes, "You know what? You're an asshole," and just cold cocks the comic book guy right in the face, and you see a tooth go flying out. And I'm like, yes, because this guy basically did what I was gonna do to the guy. Well, that's what I call him, the comic book guy, because that's pretty much what he looked like. He had the ponytail. He was kind of bald up here. He was fat. He had the beard, and he turns around. He's like, "Oh no! Oh no, you didn't!" And he's got like blood like dripping out of his mouth. Now the comic book store owner's like, "Wow, you're like you just." So the guy's friend he was having an argument with over The Walking Dead kicks the other guy in the balls, and he drops. And as he drops, hits his head on the They have like a rack that has like sometimes it has bundled issues or sometimes it has trade paperbacks. He smacks his head on the rack collapses, and all the books fall on this guy's body. So now the comic book store owner's pissed because not only did now you got blood leaking on the floor, but now he's got a potential lawsuit, destroying his stuff. These other two guys push the comic book guy, that's what I'm going to call him, push him, and he trips and falls through a display case. And the sad thing is, it was one of those, because here's the counter. All right, well, say you walk in, right? I'm trying to do this. This is going to sound weird because I'm facing, but anyway. Say you walk into the store. The counter's on this side, and then there's all the, there's a display case when you walk in on the left. Then it goes all the way down the wall, and then it turns, and it's all figures. And then it comes to another display case, and it's like I said, the counter. Then it's a wall of trade paperbacks, and it's the back side over here. Or when you walk in on the right side, there's all the new releases. Then there's little gondola kind of things that have, the bundle stuff, the trade paperbacks everywhere, bags and boards. And then the dead smack in the middle of the store is like 4 TVs. They have one, facing when you come in, one facing the counter, one facing the other side, and one facing this way. And they're always running like a comic book movie or something or animated show. And it's above a whole load of display cases. On the display case that's facing the counter is those really expensive, I forget what they're called. They're like action figure kind of things, but they look like statues, but they're figures. Like they have like Superman, Batman, like the movie edition, stuff like that. I really forget what they're called, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the guy has, in the case, he had a Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman. Then he had a Heath Ledger Joker, a Jack Nicholson Joker, and a Michael Keaton Batman. When they pushed the guy, the comic book guy fell through that display case and destroyed every single one of those statue, toy, whatever the hell they are. And the comic book store owner, the guy looks like he never shows any emotion. Like he's just kind of like no matter what you say to him, it's just. When that happened, not only was he pissed with the the original thing, when that happened, you actually thought you could almost see horns spring out from his head, and fangs drop down, and his eyes turn red. And I'm gonna apologize for this, so little kids might want to leave the room. He just goes, "You stupid motherfucker!" Just screams, right? And I was like, I look up and I was like, I wanted to leave, but I just wanted to see how this was gonna play out. And like 16 people ran out of the store like immediately when the stuff got crazy, and I'm looking and this guy is just covered in like broken parts of these really expensive, like the figure statue kind of things that have like the real cloth on and all that stuff, and oh man, and the funny part is, I mean it's not funny but it's funny because it has nothing to do with me. He gets up, and he's stepping on these things, and he leans back and hits the display case with his elbow, and it falls back, smashes the TV above it, smashes down. As it falls back, it hits the other TV that falls through that display case, and destroyed all these, like, friggin', well, didn't destroy them, but G1 Transformer figures they had in the case, and some Simpsons and some Thundercats figures, and some Megos, I think they were called, the old school, and like an old G.I. Joe, like the tall one that was in the box, just smashes through and destroys everything in there. And I was like, oh man, oh my god. And I'm amazed and shocked, but I was like trying not to laugh. I'm just like, wow, that's how it goes. And in my head, I'm like, instant karma, man, instant karma. I was like, right there. I was like, I didn't punch this guy to knock him out, and he got everything he was pretty much coming to him, like right then and there. Oh man, and I had to call my fiance. I'm like, yeah, I was like, can you pick me up? She's like, you're done already? I'm like, yeah, I need to get out of here. And the comic book store owner looked like he was gonna beat this guy with a bat, because he walks into behind the counter. He's like, get the cops, get the cops, somebody call the cops. I want the cops here. Jesus, he's like, you cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. He's like, I'm gonna sue your ass. And then the other guy that got knocked out on the metal display thing that had the tree, he gets him. I'm suing everybody. I'm like, oh my god, I'm out of here. I'm totally out of here. And I actually didn't even wait for my fiance. I just walked out of the store and just started walking towards where she was going to be. I'm like, I'll meet you. That's what happens. Instead of going to a comic book store and getting some comics, I went up walking into a brawl. Good times, good times. Well, that'll do it for my stories and my review. And I'm probably going to do another video, like I said, if I get the mail, which should be in about an hour or so, I'm hoping, give or take. I'll do another video with the Spider-Man comics my friend gave me. Well, I paid for them, but he gave me one hell of a deal. So that'd be cool. And he said he threw a couple extra things in there too. So who knows? I'll have to wait and see. And if I get my Midtown shipment, obviously, hopefully I'll get it at one shot. So the two things on one video. Yeah, I'm alright. Still messed up by that fight and the covered snow. But who knows? I'm supposed to go see the new Die Hard movie tonight, which I don't know. I got so much stuff I actually have to do tonight that I don't even know if I can even make it. So I know my friends are going to be pissed, but I'll have to wait and see. If you like what you see, please hit the like button. If you really like what you see, hit the subscribe button. It's not the size of your man cave that matters, as long as you don't get no fight in there with yourself. That counts. Later.